called special military operation in Ukraine. And they said this after months of aggression and intimidation. But I will call it what it is. The Russian government launched a brutal invasion, unprovoked, on Ukraine and should be condemned for doing so, and Australia does. Together with the international community, we are banding together in strong terms to condemn these outrageous acts in the strongest possible terms. The footage that is emerging of missile strikes, air raid sirens, and reports of hundreds of casualties, yet unconfirmed, are sadly not surprising, given the events we have been witnessing for some time now and have been warning about. But even as these events continue to take place, we do call on the Russian government to withdraw and return Ukraine to a peaceful situation. We denounce what are unilateral hostile actions in Ukraine. Russia is flagrantly breaching international law and the UN Charter. Russia has chosen war. So we reiterate our staunch support, which I was able to convey to the Ukrainian Prime Minister last night, about their sovereignty and their territorial integrity. These acts are of great concern, I think, to Australians right across the country, but particularly the just over 40,000 Australians of Ukrainian descent. Earlier today, the Minister for Immigration and Multicultural Affairs met with community leaders from the Ukrainian community in Australia, some 18 of them, to hear from them directly, to answer questions about the arrangements Australia is putting in place. And I thank them for working closely with the government, and I thank them for their leadership in the community. As I said this morning also, I want to send a particular message to Australians of Russian descent. I know that they will also be feeling terrible about these events. Whether they're of Ukrainian descent or Russian descent, we're all Australians, and we thank them for their contribution to Australia, and we stand together with them as Australians. My message to those Australians who continue to be in Ukraine is to, where safe to do so, leave. We have been saying this for some time now. Australians in Ukraine who are unable to leave should shelter in place until it is safe to depart, to monitor smart travel advice for updates, and register their whereabouts on the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade's online portal. It's important that they do this. We believe there is up to around an estimated 1,400 Australians in Ukraine, but that is not the number that we currently have registered formally through those processes. Australians in Ukraine who require consular support should call the Australian Government 24-hour Consular Emergency Centre on 1300 555 135. That number again, 1300 555 135, or here in Australia on +61 2 6261 3305 if you're outside of Australia. We will seek to provide support to the extent that we can in these exceptionally difficult circumstances. And I want to thank our diplomatic staff who remain in the region to do just that. Before Russia took these deplorable steps, Australia had already imposed autonomous sanctions against Russia, targeting both individuals and entities for undermining Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity. And today, we have continued to go further, acting with our close partners, the United States, the United Kingdom, Japan, Canada, those in Europe, and NATO, in condemning Russia's actions. Yesterday, I announced sanctions and travel bans on 8 members of Russia's Security Council. They will come into effect at midnight this evening. This council bears responsibility for the current phase of the invasion, including President Putin's declaration regarding Donetsk and Luhansk. I've also announced financial sanctions, which mean Australian individuals and entities cannot do business with 5 Russian banks, and this was in addition to restrictions on Australians investing in the State Development Bank, VEB. We are now progressing the second phase of those financial sanctions. The Acting Minister of Foreign Affairs, Senator Birmingham, has completed the process of applying sanctions to an additional 25 persons. This includes army commanders, deputy defence ministers and Russian mercenaries who have been responsible for the unprovoked and unacceptable aggression, and 4 entities involved in the development and sale of military technology and weapons. We are now moving to place restrictions on Australians investing in a further 4 financial institutions. There will be further waves of sanctions as we identify those responsible for these egregious acts, including, as I discussed this afternoon with the Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade, moving on around over 300 members of the Russian Parliament. We must ensure there is a cost for this violent, unacceptable and egregious behaviour. There must be a cost. As I said today, we've firmly believed that because of the actions of Russia over many months to prepare for this, that it was unlikely that they would change course. But there always must be a cost for such reprehensible violence and in the way this is being done in Ukraine as we speak. The government is also engaging with our partners and businesses to make sure we are mitigating risks to critical supply chains, and we will continue to work closely with Australian business to manage those risks. In briefings received this afternoon, we have still no evidence of any state-sanctioned cyber attacks on Australian assets here, but I thank the corporate community for the preparations that they've been undertaking and working with the Australian Cyber Security Centre to prepare themselves. I want to assure you that Australia stands ready to support internationally coordinated action to respond to any price or supply shocks in energy markets. But right now, our thoughts are very much with those in Ukraine, those who are enduring a terrible invasion as the bombs fall and the shelling continues and the bullets are fired as special forces from Russia are moving towards Kiev and tanks are rolling in all around their borders. This is a chilling reminder of the world that we live in, and where the threats and aggression of bullies and those who seek to intimidate others to seek their own advantage. This is a reality. It is a reality of this world, which means that like-minded countries, those who believe in a world that favours freedom, need to stand together and need to ensure we have the proper defences and security arrangements to keep our own people safe. And this is why Australia has always taken such a strong stand. Right now we are very concerned about all the people of Ukraine, and we pray for their safety, but we also know that they are suffering a terrible ordeal at the hands of a terrible aggressor. Happy to take some questions.